He learned to read from an outside tutor, and I did hooked on phonics with him. And he was in kindergarten. He didn't know his letters and his letter sounds. And I paid a school psychologist from Dallas to come to his school, and she said, he'll be okay in school as long as teachers don't have a problem with him being smarter than them. What she was saying is not at kindergarten, but that that when she was on this like level of just teaching them the definition, what happened was he was looking around the room and had already passed her lesson, was just trying to find the things that were magnetic around the room. And of course he got in trouble because he wasn't sitting on his mat, he wasn't looking at the teacher, he was just looking around. He had already been retained, or we kept him back in pre-K. We went to 2 different schools so that he would not know that we kept him back in pre-K, so he could develop me, hopefully mature. But he, in second grade, he read The Goblet of Fire, and he made 100 on his AR test. So that was for us, reading, I knew that if he couldn't read, he would have limited access to this world. And he felt like he was always held back. He was very smart, and I knew that, but we just couldn't. His papers didn't reflect it. Occasionally he would have a teacher that would either had a son or a nephew or something that could connect to Colin, so they would help him get organized. Intelligence-wise, he was ready for kindergarten, and all that did was just make him bigger. He was already a big kid. He weighed 11 pounds when he was born. He would just get zeros. And so unless he had a teacher that said, okay, Colin, which he did, occasionally he would have a teacher that said, you know what, forget that worksheet, tell me what you know. Tell me what you know about the Outsiders, or tell me what you know about Huckleberry Finn, because they knew it was because it would take him so long to write because of his hands that it was exhausting. And then if he didn't do it right, to redo it, he just would say, forget it. So at home, we just a little file system, put all of his subject areas in a notebook. I labeled his Chester drawers, had socks, underwear, his T-shirts, everything was labeled. There was visual schedules. You just never had any of that at school. Even if we did it at home, it never got to the teacher. And especially starting in middle school, when they started doing being responsible for that, he didn't do very well. Most of the time he was held back because no one really had that vested interest in him. I felt like that when I went to school and for a conference, they knew my background, the teachers and everybody, and they felt like, lady, you fix your kid. He's not you have the expertise, you do it, but I don't know how to fix some of those things at home. There were questions that would be asked to me, like, now is he doing his homework? And yes. So much time is he actually spending on his homework? And I felt at the time that I was really being judged, that he really wasn't doing his homework. But he was doing his homework. The problem was it never got to the teacher. He was doing his homework. It was painstaking to get him to do his homework, and he did do it, but I can't turn in his homework assignments for him. And so I felt helpless that I could do what I could do at home. I could set up whatever systems I needed to set up to help him to be successful at home, but ultimately he couldn't be successful at school. Him being able to read as a mom was just huge for me. And it was in spite of everybody. It was he was probably one of the better readers in a second grade class, where in kindergarten, she really couldn't stand him. He got on her last nerve, and he loved her. So for me, it was a big moment that he learned to read. That was his biggest moment, to learn how to read. The Christmas party, I noticed when Colin wanted something, she'd kind of shoo him off. She didn't embrace him like the kids that would come up and hug her, because she was a kindergarten teacher. She really didn't do that with Colin. He just bugged her. I could tell that that there was something about him that it was her body language. It breaks my heart that if he ever sensed that, but she just couldn't stand, her body tersed up and she answered him in very short phrases. They weren't welcoming, and I felt like everybody got their little hug in the mornings, but not Colin. And broke my heart because he has the biggest heart out of both my two children, and he would never not give someone a hug. So I had to watch that. I could tell the difference between when she dropped Colin off and when she dropped other kids off at their cars. And there was a body language and a tone in her voice with him. I know he felt it, but he's just so sweet. He probably just didn't want me to be sad because I always pulled over because it was so hard getting a folder every day. I mean, some days I couldn't handle it. I just pulled over in my car and I just was like, Colin, I don't know how to help you, honey. I don't know what to do. And back then there wasn't an internet. So if I wanted something, I went to go research the libraries. I talked to his school psychologist. I just didn't know who to get to help me. If I felt like teachers then knew more about ADHD and I felt like I could ask them questions, but I felt like nobody knew anything. None of my friends had a kid with an issue. I was the only one that was, and I was older. Out of all my high school friends and college friends, no one had any children. So I didn't have any reference. And if I did, they were little girls that sat in their seat and smiled and looked cute. And so I didn't, something that would have helped is that there were resources within the school district to say, hey, we have a parents group or some, I don't know. I felt very isolated, and then I think that would have helped Colin because I know that he probably fed off of my stress of him being in trouble all the time. So that probably didn't help. My ex-husband was gone all the time, so it was primarily just me. I don't know enough about mental health to know what would have helped him. I look in the classrooms now and I think that the teachers that have a good rapport and those teachers with him is even if they didn't like him, that he just didn't know it. Just being able to tolerate him so that he could be successful in the class, because then I think he shut down. So maybe being aware that the things that he was doing were bugging him were unintentional on his part.